Hey Branson, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, sir. Just one second. I have a question, real quick.
Sure.
Sure. I might have a meeting, online meeting later on this afternoon with a CBD company who wants to do an endorsement deal with me and my radio station,
Great.
and I don't really know what's the pricing I should give them, or because they want a number. Um,
Well, is it a sponsorship or is it a ad buy or what's the nature of the deal?
I think they want to do sponsorship and like they want to sponsor some of the podcasts on the radio station and they want to also have ads running. So I guess it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, I really have no clue. I think that if I were you, I would try to get a percentage of the sales you drive. That will make them want to stay there because instead of you having to prove all the time that it works, which is always a pain in the ass, especially when they're new. Maybe you can get a percentage of their sales, like commission, some sort of retainer fee and commission as a pilot, as a trial.
Okay. And also, they're also talking about maybe doing a flagship store in Greenville and making me the not the kind of to be the face of the store,
Yeah.
the Petey the pirate person to send traffic there from my online stuff to the retail brick and mortar store and their online store. So
Well, I mean, to me, it's a function of how much time does all this take, and only you can really judge that. So something that makes it worth your time. It sounds like a pretty complex relationship to me because it's sponsorship, it's ads, it's personal, involvement. So I don't know. I might divide it into sections so that if they don't want to continue with one section, they could continue with the other. So maybe
okay,
there's a sponsorship, maybe there's an ad buy, and then there's whatever you call a spokesman role or whatever. Maybe make those different things so that each one is compensated for what it does. I mean, that's my gut reaction.
okay, that
Yeah.
sounds good.
What's the name of the hemp company?
It's called Cool Hemp. I think Cool Hemp out of Florida.
Have you looked into them at all? Do you know anything about them?
Um, a little bit. I just know from another artist they are the sponsorship behind Coolio. So I
Wow.
know Coolio's manager and he was telling them about what I was doing. So he hit me up and said, "Hey, get your numbers in order and I'm gonna try to see if I can get you a meeting later on today." So I was like, "Whoa, okay." I don't know what.
Will he share with you the kind of numbers that he thinks you should do? He would probably be the guy to ask.
Okay, yeah, I didn't want to seem like I was kind of unknowledgeable about the subject at that moment. That's why I didn't
No,
ask him.
just be yourself. You're all right, and you don't have to know everything. And if it's legitimate, they'll be fair. I mean, I don't know any other way for you to learn other than to get in there and do it and talk to people that are in the space. You know what I mean? There's no other real way.
Okay.
So
Hey, Dennis, sorry to interrupt. Could you make me
yeah,
co-host?
I did.
Oh, oh, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah. So I mean, when I try to do something like that, I try to find someone in the field that can give me some idea. And if you don't have that or you don't know, then you could say, look, this is something I'm new at, and I'd like to work with you. Can you give me any tips of what you're looking for? I mean, you don't have to accept them, but you could. You basically don't know what to charge, and that's the truth.
Right.
So and by being honest and being straightforward, they can't really screw you over. You might choose to take a deal that maybe is a screw over. You might decide to do that, but you're not going to be put in a position where you're guessing and you're totally off. You know what I mean? You're leaving lots of money on the table. They might
Right.
be more willing to work with you as a rookie. Yeah, who knows? They might be bastards and just try to carve you up. I just don't know. But I truly have no clue. I don't even know where to begin something like that. 10,000 a month, Good,
Yeah.
get from there. That would be, kind of probably my approach. Your normal price for this is 10,000 a month. You're willing to help them out, work with them. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure that number out. Like, what would be advantageous for me, and also help them with getting what they're doing out also. So
I think it's really important in the meeting to understand what their metrics are for success, because you don't know what it is they're looking for. Are they looking for impressions? Are they looking for transactions? What exactly are they looking for? And I think it's intelligent of you to say, to ask them what that is, and then you'll get back to them with a proposal. I mean, that would be logical. Instead of you making a bunch of assumptions, ask them, what is it they're looking for? What defines success to them? You might be surprised, might not be that big a deal, or it might be impossible. I don't know.
okay. Well, that gave me somewhere to start with.
Good. All right. Hey, Ruth, how are you today?
Doing well, thanks. Hope you are.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Have you looked any further into going live, Ruth, with your jams?
I intend to. I've just had a firestorm of everything else going on in life right this minute.
Oh, okay. Well, I think you would just be fantastic at that. Especially if you can do the pitching like that. That YouTube video that's on your site is just so great. I just, I wanted to buy all your jam just watching that.
Well, thank you so much. I enjoy doing that kind of thing. So yes, I want to. I just have not had time to clear out everything else going on to do it. But it's on my list. Yeah.
I did have an idea for you, though, as crazy as it might sound. You know how we've been talking about categories and trying to make yourself a category?
Yes.
You can be the only hog farmer jam in America. Right?
Well, and then we also have some syrup you can pour over the top, when you get that.
So you're the only hog farmer syrup jam company in America. You're the number one hog farmer jam syrup company. A little picture of a pig waving,
I love that. Yeah.
I'm crazy.
I just draw the line at wearing a pig outfit. I just draw that line. But
but I think I would probably wear it. I think Grant would wear it if you were nice to him. He would put on a mascot. Wouldn't you, Grant?
100%. If I could get some free samples with it, though, that'd be fantastic.
Well, you know what you'll get you'll get free samples of lard, which you can use in your cooking.
I'll have to think about that one, Dennis.
I know,
I actually do have, in all seriousness, I have some beautiful leaf fat that I would love to find a good home for. But yes.
Well, I think sell it online. That would be an awesome show, the lard show. And you could sell the lard. I think you'd be amazed at the chefs and the people like that would buy it. I think the lard show would be really cool. I mean, I guarantee you, no one else is online selling lard.
Or pigtails, which I also have some of.
Yeah. Well, you can say the official lard and pigtail show, and promote the hell out of it and go live and, have pictures of the lard or whatever. I don't know if you have, what is it? Is it in big chunks, or what does lard look like? I don't even know.
It's frozen in white blocks. It's just really pretty white chunks of fat. Literally.
What would be a great partner for you would be the North Carolina Sweet Potato Association, because you could promote lard fried sweet potatoes.
That's a good idea.
As a real delicacy, like this is North Carolina lard, North Carolina sweet potatoes. You think duck fat is good. Wait till you taste lard sweet potato fries.
That's a good idea, because sweet potato fries are quite yummy.
Oh my God, I order them every time I see them. But if they were also in some kind of, like, I love duck fat French fries. I know that's weird, but I do. I love them. But I've heard that lard is even better than duck fat, is what my wife tells me. She's a farm girl. She was raised on a farm, and she said that, lard is good. And I said, yeah, I believe you. But just a thought, some promotion with the sweet potato guys. And that would be kind of a fun little show where you sell sweet potato and lard, packages, and people can buy them and fry them up for that special Labor Day, event.
That's actually fun. I was just doing promotions this morning for Instagram ads. I'm doing a pop-up on Saturday.
Oh, cool.
I'm gonna check into this fat.
Yeah, it's just such a great marketing idea. Even if you don't sell any, like sending the press release around that, North Carolina, official North Carolina lard for sale, first ever, that kind of stuff. It'll catch their eye. Like, what in the hell is this? Especially city people. They'll go, what is this? What is lard?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what lard is,
But people think about it though, like a big seller down in Farmville is bacon grease. So why not lard?
Seriously.
Yeah, they sell it you can get a big container of bacon grease. And people buy it a lot because they already make it anyway. They're bacon biscuits, but literally you go down to Farmville and you purchase the big bacon grease that they used, and they just repackage it and you take it home with you so you can use it in your collard greens with your pigtails, which I love. So that type of thing is big.
See,
well, this is so fun. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
The other thing I'd like to see is maybe a contest where people vote on, do they like lard better than duck fat or lard better than bacon grease? And you pick a winner out of the entrance or something, people voting, and you announce the results, and the winner gets a pound of lard or something. I just think lard has a lot of marketing potential.
That's totally fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
thank you guys. That's great fun and good ideas actually.
Well, I what they're worth, what you're paying for them. Just remember that.
Hey,
All right.
pigs and jam are the ultimate sweet and salty.
Yeah, see that? I love that. Pigs and jam. That's a great moniker. I love that. Pigs and jam show. Pigs and jam show.
I do have a recipe on my website for candy bacon with jam. Yes.
Oh my God. You got
it's good.
You got it going on, girl. I mean, come on. Tell the world.
That's what I need help with, is telling the world. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're here to help. We aim to please, right, guys? That's what we do. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for coming today. And today I'm going to get you organized, and you're going to see some videos about how to stay organized. And I promise you, you have not heard any of this before, or very little of it. And it's kind of like a way that Techstars uses with they have over 3,000 companies that have gone through that program, I think, at this point, over 20 years. So this is kind of cool. I think you'll enjoy it. So it's called Stay Organized. Let's see if I can make it work. You never know. Okay, there we go. Okay, there we go. And we'll start off right here. Okay.
David, thanks for joining us today to talk about productivity and some of the systems that you use.
It's great to be here. I feel like I've learned a few tips and tricks over the years, and happy to share it with everybody.
For those who don't know, you're definitely well known around the network for your focus on productivity and the systems that you've built and how well they work. And I really want to share those with entrepreneurs so they can learn from your experience.
Yeah, happy to share. And I think maybe the thing I want to point out there is that's not something that comes naturally to me. It's not something that I had earlier in life or earlier in my career. It was just a thing that I learned, that I could do more business or do better business that way. And I sort of forced myself to do it and have seen the results of it. And so it's become ingrained, but it's not something that you're born with. So don't worry about it. If you feel like, well, I'm not an organized person, you too can become one.
So let's talk about that transition from sort of, as you described, sort of not organized. what was the why behind it? Why did you choose? Did you wake up one day and say, I have to be more organized? What's the why behind it?
You know, I don't remember a moment where I woke up. I think it was a little bit, bit by bit over time. But it's sort of the realization that dawned on me somewhere along the way that investing a little time and thinking about how to be organized has a tremendous payoff. And so the counterintuitive thing there is, would you spend an hour to try to save a minute? And the obvious answer to that is, well, of course not. That's not a good use of time. But if you save a minute every single day, it's a 2-month ROI. Mm-hmm. And so why wouldn't you spend an hour if you're going to save a minute every day for the rest of your life? And I think it's the realization over time that that really does happen, that you really can save a minute here and a minute there, and it adds up and it makes a meaningful impact on how much that you can get done, that motivates you to spend the next hour and the next hour after that finding other ways to become more efficient.
And do you find that some minutes are worth more in savings than others?
Yes. I mean, I think if it's an hour to invest a minute one time, lifetime, mm-hmm. that's a terrible ROI. And so you want to focus on the things that you're doing often every day, so that maybe ideally it's 1 minute every hour. Mm-hmm. If it's a minute a week, the ROI is going to be a lot longer. And so thinking about the frequency that you're going to, of the task that you're going to save time on matters a lot.
If you think about the systems that you have, and we'll dive into them here and you'll show us some of your systems. Let's say things get super stressful and you holding on to like one part of the system. Is there kind of a bedrock part of your system that if you don't do that part, everything else kind of feels like it starts to fall apart?
Yeah, I mean, I probably have a couple of ways to answer that question. You know, everybody is surprised by me because I say I get to inbox zero every single day, and I do. And so sort of managing that inbox down is kind of my bedrock. But at the same time, and I'm sure we'll talk more about it when we get into the details, tasks to me is an integral part of the system. And making sure that you sort of have an organized task list, and we can talk more about what that means, I think is really important as well. So maybe let me segue a bit, if that's okay, into how I process my email. Mm-hmm. Because I think most people, we just sort of get buried in our inbox and stuff floats down. And, you know, if you looked at the oldest item in your inbox, you might be a little embarrassed how long it took you to get back to somebody. I don't let that happen. Mm-hmm. And the biggest thing I do to not let that happen is I process email as much as I can, oldest to newest. If I have a big long list of unreads that I haven't looked at, yeah, I'll do a scan. I'll see what's super urgent. I'll try to answer, or, you know, easy to answer, and try to do those quickly. But fundamentally, at some point every day, I'm going to go into my oldest email and I'm going to say what needs to be done with that, and then move my way up the list till I get to the most recent. And when you do that, you sort of ensure a, say, 24-hour turnaround. Mm-hmm. Because if you have the discipline to make sure that you're always doing the oldest, and you work your way up to inbox zero at some point every day, which is which is my goal, mm-hmm. that everybody knows that within 24 hours you can get a response from me. And whoever's watching this video, shoot me an email. And I'm david.brown@techstars.com, and I think you'll see that I'll say hello back within 24 hours. I'll see it. So you just sort of start at the bottom, and, you know, here's an email from Sabrina that's talking about, you know, compensation exceptions that we're doing for budgeting for end of year. And I looked at it earlier, and I need to fill out this quick survey. So my normal process would be to read this email, to click on this survey, and to do it. And once I've done it, I would hit archive on the email. And so, in fact, I filled out that survey already, so I'm just going to do that right away. So let me go to this next email, which is just an email from TestFlight that's alerting me to the fact that I have an app that I'm testing on behalf of one of our portfolio companies, because it's the wonderful Boomerang app, and they have a new iPhone version coming out, and I'm a big fan and a big user, and so I've been testing it out for them. And so there's a new version here that's available on the TestFlight platform. And so now what do I need to do? Well, I stopped using their previous version because it had a couple of bugs that prevented me from using it. And so now I need to download this new version and test it for them again. That's not something that I'm going to do right now. I have to download it on my phone. I have to go into it. I have to remember what the bug was. I have to work on it. So this is a good example of one that I can just turn into a task. And so the way I do that is I just take that email and I forward it to Asana, which is just a contact that I've created that is the hard-coded email address in Asana that turns this into a task. And almost every task manager has something like that. And then the subject of the email will be, test boomerang, and the content will be whatever I want it to say. So I can just type in the description here of whatever I want, and then that will create a task in Asana, and then I can go ahead and archive this email. Here's a alert from our ATS applicant tracking system about a candidate that I interviewed yesterday that I need to review. So I'll submit that review and then archive that email. Then there's an email about some details on who are members in our membership program. So I'll read that email and likely delete it. Then I have something from Culture Amp, which does our 360 surveys that I've been alerted that somebody would like my feedback on them. So I will, again, do that and then archive the email. Or if it's going to require a lot of thought, I would forward it into the Asana contact so that it would create a task item, and then I could prioritize it along with everything else. So that oldest to newest really helps. Again, it doesn't have to be 100%. Sometimes you got to jump in and deal with the crisis. But the other thing, and I don't have the article handy. I wish I had kept it. There was a great article I read once that there's only a few things that you should do with email. One is it's junk, just delete it. The other is read it and doesn't need a response, so just read it and delete it. The third thing is read it, respond to it, and delete it. The fourth thing is read it, put it in your calendar, because it's a calendar, and delete it. The fifth thing is read it, put it in a note, Evernote or something, and delete it. And the last thing is turn it into a task, because it's just too long to deal with real time, and delete it. And the point in that is every one of those ends with delete it. And there is nothing that comes in that you can't do one of those things.
Makes sense. And when you say delete, for those using Gmail, do you mean archive?
I mean archive. I use archive, and I don't use filters. I don't use labels. I find that to take too much time, right? To put it in save this or customer that or whatever. I archive 100% of everything. I never put anything to trash, so I shouldn't say delete. And if you sort of do that and you do it oldest to newest, email is not so overwhelming that the email doesn't sort of linger in your inbox forever while you're pondering whether you'll have a better answer for the thing tomorrow than you did today. And I started using the analogy, email in your inbox is not like wine. It doesn't get better with time. It's more like cheese. You might, the answer that you give the person that asks you the question tomorrow is going to be the same probably as the one you give today. So why not give it today and get it out of your inbox and help them unblock whatever their blocker was that caused them to ask you the question in the first place.
And what are some of your heuristics, that kind of fine line? I know for me, one of the things that always sort of gets me in that kind of 5 different ways of dealing with email is knowing the line between what should I reply to now versus, wow, that's a task. I need to spend some more time on that.
Yeah, I think most people treat email like wine. If you really need to do research, you need to talk to a bunch of people to think about how to respond. You need to look up some things, or it's a 3-page answer to be really thoughtful. Then that can be a task because it's longer than is reasonable. Mm-hmm. If you just have the feeling that you wish you had a better answer but you don't, well, you're not going to have it. That's the wine one, right? It's not going to be better tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And so you might as well respond. But either respond or put it to task. There's no middle ground there.
And when you put it to task, do you also respond to let somebody know, hey, I'm on this,
yes.
but I'm not going to be right back to you?
Yeah, give me a week. I need to do some research. I got your email, but I'm on the road and I need till the end of the month. And then put that commitment date into the task as a due date, and then note it in the comments if that's helpful for you to remember so that you can actually meet your commitments. People are good with that.
Mm-hmm. And then as you think about emails kind of coming in, let's say over a holiday break or the weekend or something, I know many people almost dread vacation because they think, I'm going to just come back to this blizzard of email.
Yeah.
So with your inbox zero philosophy, and let's say you take a week off, how do you manage the week off, and then how do you manage your time when you come back?
That's a good question. So my inbox zero rule does not apply when I'm on vacation. I take my vacations off the grid, more than a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks in some cases. I like, my family and I love to travel, and I travel without a laptop. And I don't check email while I'm gone. I turn it off on my phone, and I give somebody an emergency contact information so that if the place is on fire, they can contact me. And I would say that has almost never happened in my years of doing that it was such an emergency that somebody contacted me. And so, yes, I do come back to a lot of email. And I don't use the method that I know a lot of people use, which is I'm not going to get to your email, put an autoresponder on, I'm going to archive my whole inbox the minute I get back. I don't do that because I feel like it disconnects me from what's going on in the business. But what I do is, we traveled to Europe this summer. I was gone for 3 weeks. I come back on a Saturday, and I make Sunday a work day. And it's kind of a brutal day, but I've just had 3 weeks off, and it's an opportunity for me to go through my inbox and make my tasks and prioritize my things so that I can walk into the office Monday morning feeling reasonably caught up. And then while I'm gone, I put on an autoresponder that says I'm out and not to expect me to respond until whatever date that I'm back.
Can you show us how you use tasks, how you think about organizing them, how they help you kind of keep your world together?
Yeah, you bet. And I've recently transitioned from Wunderlist to Asana. And in Asana, I organize my tasks, which is the way Asana works, between today, which means today, and upcoming, which means in the next few days. I think of it as a week or so, and later, which is sometime after that. And so all of the tasks are in one of those 3 sections. And the most important section there is the Today view. So on my screen here, this is Asana. And what you can see is I have my Today view with all my tasks for today. Now I've taken the standard Asana Today view and I've added sections in there for urgent, normal, and tonight. Urgent, hopefully there's not too many of those, but if there's something I really want to pop to the top and make sure I don't forget to do, I'll put that in the urgent section. And if there's something for tonight that I might do at the end of the day, maybe it's remember to pick up groceries on the way home, for example, I'll put that down in the tonight section. But usually most of my things are in the normal section. And so you can see here today I have 6 items in the normal, which is sort of a good place for it to be. And they're ordered. So I have things like read an article, send out a thank you email to some associates, write a blog post on an upcoming partnership that we'll be announcing soon with Net Capital, and sort of, on down the list. In some cases, they have tags and are assigned to other people because, or they have labels of other people because I want to talk to them as well. But because they're in the Today view, that means to me that there's something for me to do today.
Do you hold time or reserve time in your day that is specifically focused on getting your most important task done before you kind of let the rest of the world in? I
do, and I have a calendar that will be 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. every single day, completely filled with meetings if I let it. Mm-hmm. And so I purposely block off specific times to have time to do tasks or email. I like to have a few half-hour blocks, one in, say, late morning, one in the early afternoon, and one at end of day. And the end of day allows me to have a clear mind so that I can go home and have dinner with my family and not feel like I have all these outstanding things that I didn't get done. That's why I do it that one end of day. Okay. I think the other important thing is, I mentioned the today view, but every couple of days you got to go to the upcoming view and see what do you want to drag into today. Mm-hmm. What things have you said, well, I could do that in a few days that you haven't got to, and it's been a few days. And so I have the discipline to every 2 days at the very longest. No, don't go more than 2 days without taking tasks from the upcoming and dragging them into today. So maybe let's walk through a couple of them.
Yeah.
Read Forbes article, I can click on that. And what Asana will do here is open up a side view, and I can actually see the article that I wanted to read and click on it and read it.
And how did that get into your task management?
At some point, somebody forwarded it to me and said, you should read this. And I found it interesting enough that I forwarded it into Asana, and I'll show you how that works, that created this task. So once that's done, I'll click complete. Sending an email out to associates is something that I want to do, so I have to compose that email. Once that's done, I'll mark that complete, and sort of on down the list like that. But as you can see, there's a manageable number of tasks here, 6 things that I'm thinking about today. I may or may not get to them. I don't get to all my today tasks every day, and they automatically will roll over and become today tasks tomorrow. And as we talked about, there are these other sections down below called upcoming and later, which currently I just have collapsed down. But if I open up upcoming, you can see that there's a number of tasks that are coming up that I want to think about in the next week or so. Not a huge number, but a reasonable number. And then similarly in later, there's an even larger number of tasks that are somewhere in my later folder that kind of go on. And if you look at them all, it's a little bit depressing how many there are. But as we talked about for the workflow, I will review that upcoming folder maybe every couple of days to see if there's tasks I need to pull into today. Certainly I would do it if my today view got empty. And then the later, I just look at once a week. I have a task that pops up once a week that says look at later. And it takes 10 minutes to go through all of them and say, wow, that thing has been lingering too long. Let me up its priority. But other than that, it remains collapsed here. And in my normal working day, I don't have the anxiety of the 300 tasks maybe that are sort of hidden behind upcoming and later. I just have the 6 things I want to get done today. And it lowers the anxiety, and it makes the day much more manageable. So that's how I think about tasks. And then I think about them being ordered top to bottom. And so if I get a free half hour, what do? I don't go to my email. I go to my tasks. I look at my today view. I look at what that top task is, and I do that. And if I can't do that for some reason, I don't have enough information, I need something else, well, then it probably wasn't a well-defined task in the beginning. I should have defined it as go get that information. And so I might adjust that. So reviewing the order of today and drawing future tasks in, and then in the later view, which again are things that are a week or beyond, I look at that once every week or two and just review, is there anything there that really needs my attention?
And how do you coordinate or collaborate with other executives or other team members around sort of organizing or checking in on your tasks?
Yeah, I think it's hard to impose your system on other people, right? If I could, or if I chose to do that, Asana has tons of great tools that allow you to assign it to somebody else, to follow somebody else's tasks, to have shared projects, to comment within individual tasks so you can see where you're going, what's going on a particular task or a particular project. Some people do that. It's very effective if you do, because then everybody's in the same workspace. But I've never chosen to impose that on the people that I work with. They may work in other tools, and so this is a standalone list. But in certain cases, some of the people that I work with, because I know that they're in Asana and they operate much the same way as I do, I will assign them tasks. We'll comment back and forth, but it's sort of a case-by-case basis. Let me maybe show one other quick thing, is that I have all of these saved searches down the side of tasks that I have assigned to that I've tagged with people. And so the next time I talk to Jenny or Sabrina or Katie or Nicole, I'll click on those and it will just show me the tasks that have their label assigned. Whether that's in my today view or in my later view, it doesn't matter, but it's the thing that I'll go to every time I have a one-on-one so that I can see all tasks that are related to that person.
Excellent. So it sounds like your task manager is the kind of the center, the heartbeat of this system. Email either getting triaged or flowing into that task management system.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you know, I can't emphasize that enough because so many people say task managers are where emails go to die, and that's what happens when you treat your task manager as secondary, right? If you treat it as, well, I'll go there if I run out of email and I'm looking for something to do, you know, we don't run out of email. And so you wind up working on the things that come into your email rather than the things that are important. And don't let your email be a to-do list that anybody can add things into. Rather have your to-do list prioritize the things that you want to work on.
Excellent. Are there other techniques you have to kind of guard your time, guard your attention, either in email or how you think about your task manager?
Well, I mean, I do think so much of it revolves around having a clear head and reducing the anxiety of how much you have to do. And so keeping that list in the task manager short and getting into email at whatever the right cadence is often enough so that it doesn't feel like there's hundreds and hundreds of emails that have been lingering there that you have to do something with is important. And then keeping the task manager ordered so that you do the read for article before you talk to the associates is a good technique. And if you decide to send out the thank you to the associates first, just do this first and move it up to the first in the list, right? And it just trains you to get used to that you're working on the things in the order that you decided that you're going to do them rather than letting things happen to you. And that's what makes all the difference.
And when you first started making this shift to your task manager being at the center, what were some of the ways that you worked on reinforcing the habit? Because now it's pretty clear it's a habit. But for those where it's not a habit yet, how did you ingrain it as a habit for yourself?
It does take time, and it takes discipline, and I would not describe myself as sort of naturally disciplined or naturally organized. And so it takes a certain amount of time of forcing yourself to do it. So maybe say, I'm going to give it 30 days of doing this, and I won't give up, you know, no matter what for 30 days, so that at the end of 30 days, it's become ingrained. You know, otherwise it's like getting up early in the morning to go to the gym. You sort of forget about it too quickly and it falls by the wayside. After 30 days, you start to see the benefit of it, and that becomes reinforcing.
You wrote a blog post kind of highlighting a lot of these topics, and one of the things you talked about was kind of an end-of-day ritual, or can you say more about that?
Yeah, you know, my end-of-day ritual, and I think I would encourage everyone to have a end-of-day ritual, but it doesn't have to be mine. But my end-of-day ritual is to clear out my inbox, clear out my tasks, so that there's nothing outstanding, and set up tomorrow. And so clear out my inbox means every email goes to, you know, a task or gets responded. And by the way, end of day to me means when I leave the office for the day or before I go to bed at night if I'm on the road, right? So when I'm on the road, I'm probably catching up at 10 o'clock at night on email, and I want to be done before I go to sleep. When I'm at home, I want to be done before I leave the office. That's sort of when the ritual happens. And then it's clear out the inbox, review the tasks, and then look at tomorrow. What am I going to do tomorrow? What tasks do I have? Do I have too many in today? If I have 20 tasks in today, I'm not going to do, I know I won't do more than 10, let's say. So I might as well decide now which 10 I'm going to do. So that you're relaxed before. To me, that's what allows me to sleep, right? I'm relaxed, I go home, I'm done with my email, I'm set up for tomorrow, I'm good to go. I don't have anything I need to worry about until my day starts tomorrow. That's the end of day ritual, yeah.
Excellent. I can kind of hear people sort of thinking at this moment, well, Yeah, but what about the fires that come up? What if, everything's sort of falling apart at 6 p.m. or 7 or 8 p.m.? How do you approach that?
Yeah, totally. And look, I mean, I think different businesses are different based on their stage or what they do. My first startup dispatched 911 for ambulance companies. So when you called 911, it was our software that determined which ambulance. And if something went wrong at 3 o'clock in the morning, I didn't have I got a task for that for 8 a.m. tomorrow, right? And, the world's on fire and you got to deal with it. I think that when you have situations like that, it's okay to have your sort of downtime go out the window, and you have to deal with the fire. That's part of working in a startup. But if the fire is, I feel anxiety because I have too many emails in my inbox or too many tasks, or I feel like I have too much to do, that's not a real fire. That's something that these organizational techniques can reduce the anxiety without having to, work until 3 o'clock in the morning.
So let's put yourself in the shoes of somebody watching who feels just completely overwhelmed right now, both in personal tasks and things coming in and where the business is at. Where would you encourage them to start?
Yeah, so, first of all, been there, right? And, I'm sure I spent the better part of a decade feeling that way nonstop. And it probably that feeling that nonstop is what drove me to, I can't sustain this. So well aware of that feeling. And the rest, I can't emphasize enough that the rest and the clarity of mind is what reduces the anxiety far more than getting the things done. Mm-hmm. And so the organizational skills to really have a deep understanding of what is really a fire that is life-threatening to the business versus a task that of many that need to be done but isn't urgent, and categorizing that and getting it in writing, electronically, filed away somewhere so that you trust your system and it will get taken care of, is a better alternative than trying to take care of all of them.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about sort of the end-of-day ritual and how work helps you sleep. What are some of the other techniques that you've used to ensure that you get a good night of sleep?
Look, I mean, I think, work-life balance is a term that we use a lot. Work-life harmony, I think, is what we're trying to say now, because
I usually call it work-life integration.
Work-life integration is a great term, too. Look, all of us as entrepreneurs have work and play mixed together. But figuring out what that right balance is and putting thought into it. And if you have a significant other or a family, talking about it openly is good. The things I've done there are, we talked earlier about the vacations off the grid. That is important. Decide, is Saturday off the grid? Mm-hmm. Is Sunday off the grid? My personal rule is, I try to be present with my family and on evenings and weekends. But if they're watching HGTV, that's license for me to catch up on a few things. And so it means that I'm not off the grid all weekend. I'll check in a few times and clear some things out. That works for me at the stage of life that I am. But when I had little kids, I didn't have that luxury. And so these things sort of evolve over time. And thinking through that is the other thing that maybe creates some peace in your life that allows you to sleep better, think more sharply, and get more done. And I am constantly amazed. If you haven't taken a vacation off the grid, I strongly, strongly recommend it, because I find that I come back and I make better decisions. The clarity of thought I have from the rest is liberating and lasts the rest of the year. And if I don't do it once a year, I can feel that I need that vacation. And part of that, I have the same thing in a micro way every day, in that this method of sort of clearing out my inbox once a day so that I know that every email that has come to me in the last 24 hours has been responded to. Every task that I have at the end of the day, I'll say, yep, I didn't get to that, but that's okay. I'll do that one tomorrow, or that one next week, or, oh my God, I got to do that one, so I'll do it right now. The knowing that there's nothing outstanding in my email or my tasks allows me to sleep so much better. Earlier in my life, I used to worry about work. I'd think about things. I wouldn't have restful sleep. Now I sleep 9 hours every single night, 10 hours on weekends. If there was an Olympic sport for sleeping, I think I could get at least a silver medal in that one. And that too allows for better decision makings. And all my life, I have people that say, "What? You sleep 9 hours a night, David? How do you get so much done?" And I just think that when the email pops into my inbox, I know how to answer it better than if I had been up half the night tossing and turning and worrying about it. And getting all of those thoughts out of my head and out of my inbox and out of my task list and categorized in the right way gives me that peace of mind.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, that's all I'm going to go over today. A couple of points. The program that he mentions, Asana, ASANA, that's a free program for one user, free always. And then they have different pricing for groups and project management and that kind of thing. So that's an easy tool to use. And I don't know if you all are using Gmail or Gmail Workplace Suite, they're all the different names. But I highly recommend it if you're not. It's a lot better than Outlook and a lot of other tools, in my opinion. The search function alone is great. And working it the way this individual was talking about, this ability to center on your task list as the hub of your operation and have your emails older to newer rather than the other way around. Most people, I think, put the newest email on top. And I think the idea of reacting is what we all do in our emails, at least I do. And the ability to kind of think through what it is that you want to do and where it is on your priority, and also thinking about the next day or even the next day, and having the ability to kind of understand that, I think reduces stress quite a bit. If you find yourself, locked into the screen all the time, a lot of that is because you're in a reaction mode. You're not really on top of what you're doing. You're in reaction and you're afraid you're going to miss something. I know in my case, I have multiple email accounts, multiple things I'm doing, and I always miss stuff without fail. And sometimes it's important and I get yelled at, but I'm working on it. I don't know about this inbox zero business, but the idea of having everything kind of oriented to a project and a task and some sort of priority is very appealing to me. So I personally am thinking about this and working on this. So anybody want to comment on what you saw today? Quandale, you're a corporate guy. What is your reaction to this kind of advice?
Yeah, well, I would hope to one day be able to implement some of these strategies into the business. However, at work, I could definitely use some of that advice right now, because sometimes I prioritize the task at hand over answering the emails, and I get sort of swamped at the end of the day, end of the week, and so on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can relate to a lot of the things that he was suggesting, and I think I'm going to definitely use, because for work I use Outlook, of course. That's a given. It's sort of a corporate thing. At the same time, I could probably use my archive feature a little better than I'm using it to help me sort through some of the emails that I get on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. It's a challenge. And, I didn't grow up using email. I'm relatively old compared to a lot of you. So, I probably don't have real good habits. I tend to react to whatever comes in. We used to say coming over the transom, and now it's coming over the email. But I will tell you a funny story. When I first got started in business, I went to visit this lawyer, and his desk had all this stuff piled on it. And I walked into his office, and he looked up at me, saw I was coming. He stood up, took his arm, and took everything on the top of his desk and put it into his trash can, and looked at me and said, "If it's important, it'll come back." So that was my introduction to task management by that maniac. He actually was very successful, but I had never seen anything like that. I was always impressed with that. I never had the guts to do it personally, but he sure did. So, Karen, what do you think? I haven't talked to you in a while. What do you think of this idea of having kind of a centralized hub where all your tasks and priorities are kept?
Hi, that is, looking back at some of the advice that he gave, there's one man that helps me with our business, and he is very efficient, and he uses every one of those concepts the speaker just talked about.
Fantastic. We got to have him become a guest speaker. Send me his contact information and I'll invite him.
Unfortunately, he's too busy.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, darn, he's keeping all the good stuff for himself. How about you, Grant? You're a student. You're in a little bit of a different category. Does any of this resonate for you?
Yeah. As a student, I have a bad habit of skimming and ignoring. So teachers always talk about checking your email once a day, but I mean, God, after classes and all that, just getting back, email is like the last thing I want to check. But it's definitely important. And I think organization's not my strongest suit. So it's definitely something I can improve on.
Yeah, I think also to Grant's point, what I've noticed is particularly younger people, I'm going to put Grant in that category. They tend to not use email very much or not very responsive, but they might be really responsive with a text or some other tool. It's almost like you have to figure out what channel do people prefer to use. I think a lot of us it's email, some of us it's text, some of it's other tools that I probably don't even understand. But I think that that's an important thing too, is how do you connect with people? Because one of the things that takes a lot of time is dealing with slow responses, right? You're waiting for someone to respond, particularly if they're in your project and they don't respond, and you keep trying to get in touch with them and you just don't get anywhere. And I think that part of that is really understanding which channel should you use for that person. And I started to, like on my contacts, I started to put in that kind of information. So if they like to, use Twitter or whatever it is, I try to put that in their contact and try to remember to use that if I can remember when I'm dealing with that individual. And that does help with responses. It all depends on the criticality of what you're doing, how big a deal it is, how much impact it is. But at any rate, anyone else want to chime in or share any of their secrets that they have that they find works in this kind of stuff?
I just have one more thing to say as well.
Yeah.
I'd say the kind of like header or whatever that's called, kind of the whatever you see on the email when you're about to open it. Is that the header or whatever?
It's the title. It's the title or the subject.
Subject. There you go. That's really important. Like, especially for people my age, if it's not engaging, then I'm not going to open it, or it's going to be the last thing I'm going to open. But I really think if you have like a good subject or header or whatever, then that can help be more effective.
Yeah, I think, I'm no expert on project management software, but I do think that's one of the things that project management software has is the ability to put labels so that it's important or it's on a critical path, as they call it, for a project that you're working on or your team's working on. So I think that's if you're getting 150 emails a day, it's kind of hard to sort that out. But this guy was interesting, and I really was struck by the fact that Techstars has implemented this across their entire system, which I think is amazing because they don't usually do that. But everybody has the same sort of problem: the lack of responsiveness, feeling overwhelmed. Started people often feeling stressed and like, oh my God, the bottom's going to fall out any day. So I think some of the things he was talking about to get your arms around what it is that you're doing, and put things in their right order, it will lessen that stress and that anxiety. At least I believe it. I'm going to try it. I'll let you know how I do. So, well, that's all I have for today, folks. Once again, you're welcome to go to any of the resources. This is under Techstars Toolkit, and you can look at these videos and there's worksheets and and there's several other subject areas that we're not going to cover. It's just so much. But this stuff is not available to the general public. They let us use it. I'm really thankful because it's a really hard program to get into, and for them to give us this access, I think is great. Even though it feels a little funny to sit and watch videos, but you know, it is what it is. So that's all I have. If anybody has any questions or thoughts, don't hesitate to reach out to me. We're not meeting tomorrow, but we will meet on Monday. We are going to have quite a few guest speakers in September as our final time kind of comes. I encourage you to get your questions or the stuff that you're wondering about to me. The final class is something like September 23rd. I can't remember, some date like that. But we are going to have some really terrific guest speakers coming up. So keep your eyes peeled for that. You can't miss Andy Golinski. He's unbelievable. He's the executive who bought Burt's Bees for Clorox. That was his deal, $1 billion. And he is an expert on brands and just a tremendous guy, really friendly and really wants to connect with you all. We also have a woman who is setting up the first artificial intelligence educational program in Eastern North Carolina. She's going to be visiting with us. We have a woman entrepreneur from Montana. That's unbelievable, the stuff that she's done with Shopify and her small business, and what that's turned into is really an inspiring story. I think you'll enjoy what she has to say. So that's it for now, and see you guys on Monday, okay?